Next, we'll cover how to create a game object. Everything in the hierarchy is a game object. A game object stores data and components for a particular object. To create a cube game object in the scene, for example, right-click in the hierarchy, go to 3D Objects and Cube. Note that the cube was created both in the scene view and in the hierarchy. Remember, you can focus the scene camera on the cube by selecting it in the hierarchy, then hovering over the scene view and pressing the F key. Right now, this cube is sitting in space. It isn't doing much yet, but we can interact with it. After selecting it, we can move, rotate, and scale this cube using these 3 buttons on the top left. Move, rotate, scale. Control Z to undo. We can also perform these same operations with more precision using the transform component in the inspector. Each of these collapsible gray lines in the inspector represents a different component. But right now, we'll just focus on transform. Using the values here, we can adjust the individual X, Y, and Z position, rotation, and scale. Right now, let's just make a long flat cube. We'll use this as our floor. Next, we'll create a visual effect atop that floor. Right-click in the hierarchy, go to Visual Effects, and then Visual Effect. Note that if this option doesn't appear, you may have needed to restart Unity after installing the visual effect graph. This will create a game object with an empty visual effect component attached to it. The reason why it is empty is because it doesn't have a VFX asset attached. So, in order to create one, right-click in your project window, go to Create, then go to Visual Effects, and Visual Effects Graph. Don't forget to name your effect. I think I'll name it Fire Mouse. Next, we can click on that visual effect game object in the hierarchy and drag and drop that Fire Mouse VFX asset into the slot. The first thing you might find is that your effect was created away from the floor. But that should be an easy thing to fix. Simply select the item and use the previous transform tool, which is this one, or the transform component to move it onto the floor. Before we proceed, now is a good time to learn how to save your scene in Unity to avoid losing it. To save your scene, simply go to File, and then Save or Save As. Finally, we can get into the visual effect graph. Hey, it seems like you've finished another episode. If there's a link to the next video, you can find it in the description below. And if you enjoyed the content, please remember to like, subscribe, or share. Happy learning!